under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Lisa, would you kindly read the Open Public Meetings Act?
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Daily Record. Notice has been posted in the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, and notices were sent to those requesting the same.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda?
Here.
Mr. Frente?
Here.
Mrs. Leybow?
Excused.
Mr. Perkins?
Here.
Mr. Roman?
Here.
Mr. Nacastro?
Excused.
Mr. Mania?
Here. Okay, gentlemen. First on the itinerary are resolutions. Any discussion? Mr. Roman?
This question is for the administration on resolution number 10 regarding the extension to the developer's agreement with Rachel Manor LLC. One of the conditions is number 2, that the applicant needs to get get approval from the Highlands Preservation Area. Has that restriction always been there? I'm assuming they've always been in the Highlands, right?
Yes, as far as I'm aware, the Rachel Manor development has been subject to the Highlands. It's gone through Gene Bazinski. He's given the okay to the extension on the developer's agreement. I don't believe that condition has changed ever since the onset of this project, or this is since 2002. If the Highlands legislation came in after that, they've been subject to it. So this is not a new condition. It's just, continuation of the status quo.
So
It's also not inconsistent with most projects that require Highlands approval.
right, but my question is more along the lines of like, during the last extension request, were they not given also this item to get a Highlands approval?
Yeah, correct. The spirit of this extension of the developer's agreement, it's a year-to-year extension. The market conditions just haven't been opportune for them to finish the development, and that's where we're at in a realistic sense. They haven't finished the development just because the economics have not been there, even though we're in a better time than we were 3-4 years ago. It's just in their judgment, they've been asking for the extension of that agreement, and I assume when the economics are right, they will finish that. They're doing it at a slower pace than I guess they originally intended, certainly.
Right, I mean, I understand the economic conditions, and I would definitely be in favor of approving the extension just merely based on the economics of it. But I'm just slightly confused as to, were they required at the last extension to get Highlands approval and they didn't get it yet? And because the way the wording is seems to me that, okay, you have to get approval from the Highlands, and they probably won't do it. I'm assuming if they didn't do it the previous time, that they'll just wait to get to the wait for another extension. So when are they required to get Highlands approval?
And the short answer is, I don't know that, and I don't know that that's an impediment to them finishing the project. I could certainly reach out to the engineer. We meet weekly, find out if this is the boulder in the roadway, so to speak. I don't believe that is the case, and I don't believe anything's changed since the onset of this project. I still think that they have all their rights as they did from the get-go from the planning board, but it's something I can get back to council after speaking with Mr. Bazinski.
Jeff, can you shed any light on it?
I know the last year they had applied for an extension as well, and that provision was not in the resolution. I know Gene Basinski is the one who actually requested it be in the resolution this time around, but I think, as Sean mentioned, I think that provision is consistent with the developers' agreement stemming back to 2002. But
So then I'm assuming the way I read the resolution is, irregardless of whether they go for ask for an extension a few years down the line, they are now required to get Highlands approval under this resolution before they even request another extension.
Correct.
I think
Okay.
that's correct. Yep.
All right, just making sure. Thank you.
And we're going to
Mr. Perkins?
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Just clarification, Jeff, since it says this would be the last extension, that's in the resolution, this is also in the letter and also from your office, that this is the final one-year extension. So they ain't coming back ever again because we're not permitting them to do it because we're saying this is your last shot. So if he's lucky, he has 9 lots and he's able to build them in 1 year and get them all sold and get the final road pavement, which I doubt.
Good luck.
Toll Brothers ain't doing it that fast, and Morris Chase or in Morris Hunt, why are we putting a one-year restriction and saying this is it forever and ever for you?
Is it in this current resolution?
Well, it's in your letter, and.
Right, because what had happened was last year we had said it's the last extension. But then what happened was Gene Basinski came back, and I think there should be an email in the packet as well. If it's not there, it should be, that basically says, no, he was wrong. He's not requiring a one-year extension. He's gonna let them come back year to year as necessary to get approvals.
If that's the case, Jeff, that's fine. It's not necessarily in the resolution, but
Right.
it is in the backup document letter.
Right.
And from your office, and I just want it clear to the council as well as the administration, if everybody's on board. I don't think you can really force a developer to say, you got 9 lots left, this is
Right.
your last time.
Good
When-
luck.
When we have people like Toll Brothers, and I'm not picking on Toll Brothers, but for the number of extensions that we've been in, especially on places like Morris Chase.
We just did some extensions for Morris Chase and Morris Hunt.
It was the discussion last year at this time when the resolution last year came on. We sent the developer a letter actually to the developer saying that, this would be the last extension. They came back and said they don't think that's gonna be possible. They want the ability to come back year to year. After speaking with Gene, we conferred and we thought that would be the better approach. So as of now, there's no restriction from them coming back year to year.
Yeah,
Mr.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, in the backup, Mr. Basinski, our engineer, makes it very clear. He has no objection to them coming back year after year without restriction on this developer's agreement until they finish the project. He's very clear in those emails.
Is that satisfactory, Ray?
Good.
John, the bonding for the property is for the off-site improvements. It is not requiring them to complete the lots. So what they bond for is the roads, the curbs, the drainage. So if you didn't extend it, they would have to at least get the off-site improvements in.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I have another comment. We're going to remove the last resolution for Silver Springs. They still haven't gotten tax clearance, so
Well,
they've got everything else in order except for the tax problem.
Don't pay your taxes, we can't hear it.
next item.
Okay, ordinances, any, Mr. Roman?
For what purposes, ordinance 132013 up, what changes have we made? Salary ordinance?
No, you can do it.
Salary ordinance, there's been some adjustments in light of the upcoming budget going into 2015. We wanted to get ahead of this instead of introducing it at the time of budget. I believe it's customary, do we introduce around
Yeah,
December?
but he's
Sharon?
asking what changes were made, not necessarily why we have the ordinance.
Well, there's adjustments to, if we go down the list, I don't have them
Tom?
itemized, but.
To the position, the IT position, I made a $10,000 adjustment.
Administrative. Assistant to Public Works.
Assistant to Public Works, which is a move to retain that individual in the hopes that we can transition ultimately to
Director?
to director when we have a change in that position due to retirement or other changes. There was a change in the CFO position.
That's it.
I think that's it.
Is the Recreation Marketing Director, is that a new position?
No,
Okay.
there are no new positions.
Okay, thank you.
This is also an increase for all the rest of the employees for the year.
What's that?
That's also an increase for all the rest of the employees for the whole year, correct?
This is, yes.
Yes, everybody, all the other employees got a 2% increase, which is equivalent to what both of the unions got, or will be getting for next year.
There's also an extra $1,000 in for the sports ombudsman's position, went from 1,500 to 2,500.
Okay,
Those are all the changes that we're recommending.
thank you.
Any further discussion?
So, just to clarify.
Mr. Perkins?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So it's 2% for everybody across the board, with the exception of a few positions that we needed to adjust accordingly for certain positions based upon looking forward to what's supposed to happen in the next few years.
That's correct.
That's correct? Okay, thank you,
And
Mayor.
I've identified all of the positions that there were increases beyond the 2% pursuant to Mr. Roman's question.
Perfect, thank you, Mayor.
Any further discussion? Any old business? Any new business? Anyone from the public wish to be heard? I'll close it to the public. Motion to adjourn to the public meeting.
So moved.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Lisa, would you read the Open Public Meetings Act, please?
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Daily Record. Notice has been posted in the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, and notices were sent to those requesting the same.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda?
Yes.
Mr. Fronte?
Here.
Mrs. Laybow?
Excused.
Mr. Perkins?
Here.
Mr. Roman?
Here.
Mr. Nacastro?
Excused.
Mr. Mania?
Here.
John, if I may, I know that we're in the next meeting, but there was one additional increase pursuant to Mr. Roman's question. I want to be accurate, that there was a bump consistent with what we've done with the business administrator's position, consistent with what we've done every year that he's been here. It's just so that we have full disclosure in terms of what increases have been included in the salary.
Thank you.
ordinance.
Thank you, Mayor.
Sorry.
Mr. Amiandi, would you make a motion for the approval of the minutes of previous meetings, please?
Yes. I make a motion for approval of minutes of previous meetings.
Second.
All in favor? Roll call, I'm sorry, roll call.
Mr. Amianda?
Yes.
Mr. Fronte?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Abstain?
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes. Okay, we have some correspondence. Any discussion? None? Okay, I thought you were
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
contemplating.
No, I'm on to the next, I'm reading the next stuff.
All right, first we have on the agenda right now, we have ordinances for public hearing. Mr. Ferrante. Council President, I open the hearing to the public on ordinance number 26-2014 entitled, "An Ordinance of the Township of Mount Olive in the County of Morris, State of New Jersey, providing for the reopening of Gold Mine Road as a one-way road from Tanglewood Way to the area of 150 Gold Mine Road with a weight restriction prohibiting vehicles of 5 tons or greater in the reopened section of the road, to be incorporated into Chapter 245 of the Mount Olive Township Code." Mr. Ferrante?
Thank you. I move for adoption and final passage of ordinance number 26-2014.
Second.
Council discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda?
Yes.
Mr. Fronte?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes. Ordinance number 26-2014 is passed on second reading, and I hereby direct the clerk to forward a copy of the same to the mayor and publish the notice of adoption as required by law. I open the hearing to the public on ordinance number 27-2014, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Mount Olive in the County of Morris, State of New Jersey, authorizing the acceptance of a deed of dedication for roadway purposes for a portion of Block 5400, Lot 26, from Siemens Healthcare Diagnostics. Mr. Perkins, would you kindly do that?
Yes, Mr. President. I move for adoption and final passage of ordinance number 27-2014.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Amianda?
Yes.
Mr. Fronte?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes. Ordinance number 27-2014 is passed on second reading, and I hereby direct the clerk to forward a copy of the same to the mayor and publish the notice of adoption as required by law. Okay, now we have ordinances for first reading. Next item on the agenda for first reading is ordinance number 28-2014, an ordinance of the Township of Mount Olive in the County of Morris, State of New Jersey, authorizing the acceptance of a deed of dedication for open space for the property currently known as Block 6000, Lot 6.001, from Toll, New Jersey. Mr. Perkins?
Yes, Mr. President. I move that ordinance number 28-2014 be introduced by title and passed on first reading, and that a meeting be held on December 9th, 2014, at 7 p.m. at the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, for public hearing, consideration of second reading, and passage of said ordinance, and that the clerk be directed to publish, post, and make available said ordinance in accordance with the requirements of the law.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Amianda?
Yes.
Mr. Frente?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes. Next item on the agenda for first reading is ordinance number 29-2014, an ordinance of the Township of Mount Olive, amending ordinance number 13-2013, which established salaries for the mayor, council, department heads, supervisory personnel, and employee of the Township Clerk's Office. Mr. Roman?
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that ordinance number 29-2014 be introduced by title and passed on first reading, and that a meeting be held on December 9th, 2014, at 7 p.m. at the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, for a public hearing, consideration of second reading, and passage of said ordinance, and that the clerk be directed to publish, post, and make available said ordinance in accordance with the requirements of law.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda?
Yes.
Mr. Frente?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes. Next on the agenda is consent resolutions. Any discussion? Not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Amianda?
Yes.
Mr. Frente?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes, and I'm assuming we are voting in consent resolutions 1 through 10.
Correct.
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes. Mr. Franti, would you do the honors of consent motions?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to move consent motions number 1, the bill list.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Amianda?
Yes.
Mr. Frente?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes. Administrative reports.
Yeah, I'll start. Couple things. First of all, a couple weeks ago, we held our departmental hearings and discussed all of the needs of each of our different departments that we have here in the township. I'm very confident that we will be bringing in a budget this year for council approval that will have no tax increase, second year in a row. And I'm confident that it will leave us in a financial position that will hopefully lead to a following year where we can bring in a budget with a 0% increase. So we have, I think, increased the level of services that we're providing to the township. We've increased our infrastructure, and yet at the same time, we've been able to do it without a tax increase. So I applaud everyone's effort up here in terms of what we're doing to make Mount Olive a better place to live and a more affordable place to live. Secondly, one of the things which I wanted to implement going forward was the use of pretreatment brine for snow events, snow and ice events. I asked Sean to undertake a study to determine what type of brine we would want to use, what the costs are associated with that, what the benefits are. This year, we will be implementing, starting tomorrow, a test area for use of the pretreatment brine that has been recommended by Tim Quinn, our DPW director. Tomorrow's storm may not be the best storm because it may start off as rain in terms of being a testing ground for brine throughout the municipality. But I am confident at the end of the day, for a minimal cost in terms of equipment purchase, that we will be able to ultimately provide a better service in terms of our pre-treatment for snow events going forward. So any feedback that you may hear should be communicated to Sean Canning so that we can accumulate the data that we need to accumulate to come up with an adequate answer as to our efforts. What do you have, Sean?
Yeah, just, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just
Forgive me
following.
for interrupting. Is that brine good for turkey?
Is it good for what?
Turkey.
Turkey.
Yes, it is.
Didn't want to miss that, sorry.
I want to credit both Tim Quinn and Frank Wilpert Jr. You know, we started, the mayor charged us with research on this for this winter back in June, so we spent the better part of the early summer just looking at the alternatives, and as is usually the case, a lot of vendors want to come in and they want you to go whole hog right away, and the cost was exorbitant. Frank Wilpert Jr. came up with the system that we're going to implement tomorrow. It's going to cost us $5,000 to implement this winter, as opposed to the $100,000 price tag, which was the test modules that were being, bantied about back in summer. There's about 4 different areas of town that we're going to hit. We've already asked the police department for cooperation as well for some objective analysis. In addition to our own visuals, we're going to ask that the police MDT cameras during various parts of each snowstorm this entire winter take both our brine-treated roads and comparable traveled roads. So, for example, Clover Hill Drive, which is going to be a brine-treated road, we're going to ask the police department to say take River Road, a similarly traveled road that can give us an apples-to-apples, so to speak, comparison. So, and that's not going to be the only indicia that we weigh it upon, but the visuals should help. And after, if we have a slow winter of maybe 10 storms, hopefully not more, we can come up with some type of conclusion by spring. The things I have on the, or does anybody have any questions about the brine before we move on, or no? All right. I just have 3 things. Council will be getting a shared service agreement, hopefully on the December 9th meeting. I think I have it down at Jeff's office now. Yesterday, I want to congratulate both Timmy Quinn and Frank Wilpert Jr. Those two and myself went to Chester Borough. We hammered out the final details of an outline of an agreement. Council was sent that in a confidential package yesterday. We're very happy with the overall agreement, but I look forward to fielding questions and talking about this on December 9th, if council's so inclined to approve that. The second part, the health department's been very active. It looks like we have an agreement in principle, which will be before the Board of Health prior to coming here on a shared service with Washington Township in the area of animal control. So again, the shared services are benefiting our surrounding communities, but they're also benefiting us. We're able to be a provider, and it's offsetting our budget, which is good. The Baptist Church, they were about to start on some outside renovation. Council's going to notice, and the people are going to notice the front porch. That portion is going to be done in accord with our recent grant. We're very optimistic in working with the Historical Commission. We believe we are very much less than 3 years away from fully commissioning the Baptist Church. And I want to congratulate Kathy Murphy, especially. It's been her tireless efforts behind us that's pushed this, and you can really see the results now. So we believe we're less than 3 years away from finishing this project, which will be, at that point, it'll be a fully functional township building for whatever council deems fit, whether it's weddings or meetings or however we want to use it, but it's another asset to the township. And lastly, I've gotten some nice feedback. The mayor and I had spoken about the landscape sign across the street from Center Court up at Flanders Netcom and Flanders Road back in June, July. We spoke about it. The original intent was possibly to put a mirror digital sign in that area of the township. We just don't have the power, don't have the Wi-Fi. But the landscape, we went out to quotes. The landscape quotes came back, were very cheap. That whole area's been developed for less than $8,000, and it's a nice offset to Center Court across the way. A lot of comments from the residents, and they've all been positive.
Excellent.
You want to-
One other item of positive note is that we received word back on the water testing at Cobblestone, and it came back as sufficient to provide water for that development. And I've given all indication to Sean to move forward with the project to the next step. Everything is moving forward in a positive direction, except for the snowstorm.
Thank you, Mayor. Any old business? Any new business? Any legal matters?
Thank you, Council President. I was just going to mention Cobblestone, but the mayor stole my thunder, so I have nothing else to report tonight.
Council reports. Mr. Amianda.
Yes, Mr. President. I put a copy of what I'm about to say in front of each of you. I know that sometimes I'm difficult to understand, so you can read along with me. In this way, there will be no misunderstandings. My comment tonight is about the annual New Jersey School Leagues, New Jersey League of Municipalities Conference in Atlantic City 2014. I attended the 2014 New Jersey League of Municipalities Conference held in Atlantic City from November 18 to November 20, 2014. The theme of this year's conference was Partnership for Prosperity. The program offered a list of relevant topics for mayors, governing body, elected officials, and all types of appointed officials. All meetings gave conference delegates the chance to ask questions and offer insights from the floor. I attended a session titled Information Technology, Best Practices to Protect Our Infrastructure. Presiding was James Leary, Mayor of Hardwick Township. In this session, 3 experienced municipal IT managers discussed the best practices to maintain security in an insecure environment. We learned that new technological challenges and threats to municipal IT systems pop up almost every week, if not every day. Municipalities that manage their own servers or networks must protect their data systems and users through a regularly updated combination of software, hardware, vendor services, and attention to detail. I also attended the annual risk management seminar. This program offered education credits to the municipal excess liability of $250 per each elected official and municipal manager who attended this program. This program satisfied requirements that elected officials take employment practices training and ethics training. Mr. David Grubb, and I spelled Grubb, G-R-U-B-B, Executive Director, Municipal Excess Liability Joint Insurance Fund, moderated this session. We discussed community safety leadership and impact of accidents on our communities. Also discussed was a toolbox for public officials to organize successful safety programs. Last but not least, I spent time in the exhibit hall where I found displays and demonstrations of the best products and services for municipalities. I spoke to the vendors who specialize in products and services that would be good for our municipality of Mount Olive Township. New Jersey League of Municipalities Conference is a place to learn what you are supposed to do and how to do it, whether you are a new member or a veteran council person. The networking is wonderful. You learn that you don't have to do things the same old way. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
Mr. Ferranti,
Board of Ed?
what's that?
Going to get a Board of Ed report, Mr. President?
Oh, do you have a Board of Ed report?
Oh, I have given that one for my comment.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, there was no, I had no Board of Education report. I'm sorry.
Okay. Mr. Ferrante,
I have nothing until next month.
Mr. Perkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's been an interesting couple of weeks for the Mount Olive Television. Channel 21 is a series of rainbows with absolutely no broadcasting for the past approximately 2 weeks. Last evening at 8 o'clock, I believe it was 8 o'clock, I did see the Mount Olive Township Council came on. I noticed on the bulletin board that the Mount Olive Marauder Madness will not be producing any new shows for a while. So Ms. Brett has already been in touch, I believe twice, with Larry Reynolds, trying to find out what's going on with this Mount Olive Television. My personal is that I know we did the 15-year franchise, we got the $25,000, we assisted the Board of Education with getting the equipment, and the anticipation was that the students would be able to get extra credit because they would be pursuing a broadcasting career. Somewhere along the line, that got convoluted into a few years ago where somebody was producing these shows at a cost of $500. We've done our best trying to get things updated. If things don't pan out pretty soon, before I leave, I may make a strong recommendation to the council. I know our business administrator has been trying to work with Gary Shaw from Cablevision to find out ways that we can at least get our municipal stuff in a timely fashion to the residents, especially those that don't have access to things like internet, so that they can't view YouTube or the township website. And that is now a work in progress, but it appears that we're not quite sure what the Board of Education is doing any longer, Mr. President. So once I get a little deeper into that, I will update the council.
Mr. Canning?
That's okay.
Oh, I thought you,
I started to, but then I reneged.
okay, Mr. Roman.
I have nothing to report on open space or recreation.
I have nothing to report. Anyone from the public wish to be heard? If not, I'll close it to the public. Any council comments?
Mr. President, may I just a correction? I didn't have a report for the Board of Education, but I gave my comment, public comment. I hope Madam Clerk will have to correct that, make a correction there. Thank you.
Any other council comments? Mr. Perkins?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. President. As we now approach the end of the year, I know I missed the last meeting. I apologize for that. I got tied up. Business being what it is I'm drawing to the end of my career, and it can't get here quickly enough. Wanted to thank the mayor. Did an excellent job for my son's wedding. It was funny because my son had said, please ask the mayor to be short. And I said to Rob, I said, they want you to be quick, and he said, I will. It was probably the fastest wedding ceremony I think anybody has ever attended. But it was beautiful. The setting was beautiful. Mayor, thank you again for taking the time to do that for my family. Had a wonderful Marine Corps birthday down in South Carolina, as well as a Veterans Day. And we have put money down on a lot and are having a brand-new house built. So,
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Out of here. That's it, Mr. President.
Mr. Roman?
I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and enjoy.
I too want to wish everybody a happy and healthy Thanksgiving, and may God bless you all. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.